All right, my friends, we're live. Part two today for severe weather coverage across portions of the. All right, now we are live again. Part two coverage of severe weather that's been occurring across parts of Dixie and the South. We've already seen more than our share of tornado warnings and damage, many confirmed, that have already occurred. A lot of them in the state of Alabama. But areas further west, I believe now are going to be under the gun next as the main thrust of the storm begins to make its way off to the east. I'm going to see if I can send out a quick tweet and say hello to some of our friends that are coming on here. All right, we are back from the safe confines of Western New York. Thank you for joining us. Welcome to the program. It's pretty quiet across the Northeast. I know that is not the case for our friends across the South, which is exactly why we're on here. So a shout out for all those in harm's way. Please stay posted. Keep your attention. This is going to be a duration event for parts of the Southeast tonight. And unfortunately, I think the worst is yet to come. I know we have, as mentioned, had a number of confirmed tornadoes touching down. We've had damage reports as well. All of this should be ramping up here in a little while. Might be joined by a special guest. We had Scotty Ray from Scotty Ray's Weather on our earlier broadcast, as he covers parts of Dixie out of Meridian, Mississippi. We'll see if we can't get him on the program here in a moment. In fact, I think he's in the waiting room now. So we'll bring him on into the fold here in just a couple of moments. Let's get you started with the radar update. And severe weather ongoing. You can see that main thrust just now making its way into portions of western Mississippi here as we speak. And that's what we're going to be watching for. Jackson, Mississippi. You're going to be under the gun. You missed out on the earlier round. Severe weather quickly approaching your area. I think this makes its way into eastern Mississippi as well. I think Meridian's going to have their hands full, which is exactly why we're going to have Scotty Ray on here in just a couple of moments. All of this, though, remains a fluid situation. I think I've got our guest with us, so let's see if I can bring him on here.
I'm here.
Okay. You guys hear that? Okay, let me do a system sound check. I've got you. I see you right now, my friend. Scotty Ray, how are you doing, sir? Hold on, give me a second. I'm getting a mixed minus coming in from our Stream Deck. So if it doesn't work out with Stream Deck, you know whose fault that is.
It'd be my fault, wouldn't
it? Welcome back to the program, my friend. I know you were doing a lot of covering earlier. What are you hearing out of your part of Mississippi and into Alabama?
Well, as you and I were talking earlier before we went on, it looked like there was something that happened just south of the Meridian area in Wayne County, near Hawaii. And it was a chicken farm that got hit, a chicken house that was hit by a tornado, and it pretty much tore that to pieces. We were fortunate that didn't keep traveling on the ground through there. I hate it for the folks that hit their chicken farm because that's their livelihood.
Sure.
But it could have been much worse. I don't think anybody was hurt. But as you're looking at radar, where Meridian, Mississippi is, if you will look out due east of us right now, it is a mess on the edge of Alabama.
And I'm getting radar. I'm going to try to see if I can't do a picture in pictures, 3 pictures. So we're going to have radar top left, I'm top right, and you've got the remainder of the picture, buddy. Okay, so we've got analyst radar that's up right now. So why don't you describe what's happening to your east? Because I know you've been watching this all day today. Tell me the latest.
Yeah, what we've got is Demopolis, Alabama, which is directly due east from here. If you go south, just south of there, Linden, Alabama, it's a small town. They got a couple, it's a small southern town. It's got 5 to 20 businesses there. There is, let me turn this on where I can get a little bit close there. Tornado warning there until 5:30 this afternoon, and that is from Marengo County. Looks pretty rough as you go across this, and we're picking up several wind shears picked in with this at 70 miles an hour. The second one there is at 58, and I've got a third one that's picking up at 71 miles an hour. And on the scale of 1 to 10, that's sitting at about a 5. And this is going to be headed toward Uniontown, Alabama. I don't know if you've ever heard of that little small town.
I don't know if I've been in Uniontown.
It has a stop sign.
Okay.
That's about what's left.
That's a start.
Yeah, it is a start. You know, and I grew up in a county that we had one street light, and they took it away. So
did they really?
They put it in the museum. I kid you not. But if we go northeast of there, Pelham, Alabama, which is near Birmingham, if you were to go due south of Hoover through Pelham, straight down where Selma, Alabama is, and I think most people know where Selma. This looks like that's a pretty big storm that has popped up there. I'm picking up 3 or 4 different categories with this. Do you see what I see on radar there?
I've got local radar. Mine's coming out of Jackson, but I think we need to probably go closer to Montgomery or Birmingham for this one. So I'm going to jump on into Birmingham right now, but I've got radar playing behind you. Go ahead.
That looks like a pretty serious one. If you were to look at the front edge of this, this is headed, anybody that's near Jimison, Alabama is going to be there in about 52 minutes. It will reach Maplesville within 25 minutes from now. This looks like it's a pretty serious tornado from what I'm seeing on my end. Now, your radar may be picking up just a little bit differently. And then to the northeast of there, a second set of where another tornado warning is, and that one is for, let me see here, what county that is.
North of Birmingham?
Yes.
And you know, I've been watching these, and they were very, very serious for a while. And I'm not saying that you always want to take your tornado precautions. You know, the National Weather Service, when they issue their warnings, we don't advise anybody to go against their warnings. But you know, as a career meteorologist, it's easy to be that backseat quarterback, which I like to do. Honestly, looking at the Birmingham storm, not nearly as impressive as the signature that you did point out for the one to the south. So I'm looking at that now. That's the one near, what is the name of that town? Billingsley? Is that it?
Yeah, yeah.
That's got a pretty decent signature, and then there's another one cropping in right behind it. Again, we're looking at some decent wind speeds. In fact, that second storm's got a better better velocity signature. I'm looking at a gate-to-gate somewhere in the, hello, about 125 mile per hour gate-to-gate shear with that. That's probably doing some businesses. It's approaching Plantersville. Is that right? Plantersville?
Yeah, that's it. I'm looking at that on the map as well.
Okay. Yeah, this is. Yeah. There's a large. There's a large bounded echo-free region that is corresponding, which appears to be a very well placed hook echo. Again, that's where we're seeing that velocity signature. I'm going to do a quick CC scan to see if we got confirmation. And I would say, yeah, that's on the ground. Are they saying that's confirmed? It looks like it's confirmed according to radar.
I believe so. That is a nasty one that we're looking at.
I agree with you. Let me give the warning information on that. You probably have it in front of you, but that would be East Central Perry and northeastern Dallas counties. That goes until 5:30 Central. So
moving to the northeast at 30 miles an hour is what they're putting on this. And you know, if you live anywhere in that vicinity and you're watching this, take cover now. We don't want this to be the last thing that you hear.
No, absolutely. That's a real deal. That's legitimate there, Scotty Ray. I'm going to take you guys over to our other radar source as well, kind of a broader view, and then we'll come back to the storm. That's obviously very serious. But the reason I wanted to tag team with you, not just for the outgoing weather that's eastbound of you, but also for the stuff that's coming inbound right now.
Yeah, we do have some. In Mississippi right now, we've got, if I'm looking at this correctly, we've got, it looks like one tornado warning at the moment, and it could be hanging over 2 counties here. We've got Lincoln, southeastern Jefferson County is canceled as I go down. Still in effect for Copiah County is what we've got right now as I read down the list here. And that is to the southwest of Jackson, Mississippi.
Right. And it's just a crush of warnings. It's a crush of information, so everybody does need to kind of stay on their toes here, because this is going to change very rapidly over the next couple of hours. And honestly, how many warnings do we have? I'm losing track. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put in all of our warning information. I've got the satellite up. I've got the radar up. Let's see if we can't simplify this for everybody that's watching. There's that convective outlook that does include the high risk that goes clear from Monroe, Louisiana. They even backed that up a little bit, all the way to Birmingham, California, Birmingham, Alabama. Thank you very much. So let's go ahead and take a look at the actual warnings coming in from the National Weather Service. I turned them off because I was being inundated with the information, but here you go. That includes all the watches as well. So Jackson, they went ahead and broad blanketed with just an enormous severe thunderstorm warning. And then we do have new active tornado warnings, it looks like, approaching out of the southwest as well.
And I just noticed one that is due north of Jackson toward the Delta in Mississippi. Tornado watch, tornado warning from northeastern, and I'm not sure I can pronounce this one. I didn't even know we had a county called this, Chictaw.
Chictaw, what?
That's brand new to me.
Well, it's Indian, and you know what? Your guess is as good as mine, my friend. Greenville, though, that is a town that I'm familiar with. Looks like they're on the edge of a tornado warning as we put all this into motion. Again, I'm being joined by Scotty Ray from Scotty Ray's Weather. They can find you, Scotty, on Facebook, on YouTube. I noticed you had quite the crowd earlier as you were tracking the earlier storms. What's the best way they can find you?
It's Scotty Ray's Weather, and that's, you spell out my name, and you know, a few people spell it different than I, but it's Scotty, S-C-O-T-T-Y, R-A-Y apostrophe S, and then just weather, and it'll pull up. And the way to make sure that you got me, I'm the one that always wears the cowboy hat.
That's good.
I guess that started as a kid when I was, back in the early 70s. Matt Dillon was one of the 3 channels that you could get, and I always looked up to Matt, and I figured out the good guys always wore cowboy hats, and that's where I got it from.
I love that. I'm going to have to go out there and find me a cowboy hat now, too. That's great. You got to do something, especially as competitive an industry as we're in now, with everybody wanting to be a professional podcaster and all that. And you really have to do some things that set yourself apart. Of course, it helps when you have a broadcast career like you do. So you spent how many years doing radio work?
Somewhere between 22 to 25 years, I did a country morning show. I done the morning show for 16 of those, #1 each year. And, man, it was fun. And people that are starting in radio now, if anybody even does that anymore, I started out on the graveyard shift. I'll never forget it. We'd just gotten married, and I quit my job because I wanted to do it so bad. And you take a wild guess what I took as my main job back in I think it was 1990 a year, how much I took. This would just make me want to crawl on the table.
In 1990, I started in TV weather in 2000. I know how little I made. So in 1990, man, you must have been raking like 15 grand a year or something crazy like that.
No, I wasn't even there. You got to remember, this was the graveyard shift where nobody really knew you existed. And I wanted to do it so bad, I took $8,000 a year to do it.
Oh my gosh. That's crazy. That's determination, my friend.
Yeah, my wife had to love me to have gone through that era. We didn't have nothing, but we sure had each other. In the end, it worked out, and it was a great career. Man, I got to meet so many good people that have come through that were musicians that, you just never would have, heroes that turned out to be somebody. I bumped into, I spent time, and if you ever get to go back, there was a guy from Mississippi named Steve Azar.
Okay.
He had a song called I Don't Have to Be Me Till Monday. And they filmed a video for it at Morgan Freeman's big honky-tonk that he has in the Mississippi Delta. And I got to go up and be a part of the video and spend about 3 to 4 days with Morgan Freeman. And Morgan is, everything that you've ever seen about him, is the nicest gentleman that you would ever bump into. He would, take this for an example, that you're sitting down to eat, and think about how many people talk to him. People would come up and bump into him and want to talk to him. He would stop eating and talk to him 10 minutes. You just couldn't have asked for a better guy.
He just does. He just comes across as such a super dude. I know he's a conservative too, so tip of the hat to him for telling it like it is, for being strong when it comes to principles. But that's awesome that you got to meet him.
Now, I am in the distance in my back, in my ear. I'm hearing there's another tornado warning or a warning of some sort that just went off.
There is, and if you can get to it quicker than I can, I'm going to go over to it next.
Here we go. Tornado warning now is issued for northwestern Jasper and Smith counties, and this is what you've been talking about that's going to come up from here. 5:20, a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located near Taylorsville, or 11 miles east of McGee, moving northeast at 40 miles an hour. So this is the real deal. A tornado warning issued for us.
Okay, so time to batten down the hatches, my friend. So let's see here. So who all is involved? So again, this is it's really a complex scenario that's developing right now. So this one is moving generally towards you guys there in Meridian. Um, and so I'm still eyeballing that one that was to your east. So you know the storm that was moving towards Plantersville, while it still shows a lot of velocity, like we've seen with a lot of these tornado-warned cells out of Alabama, they're quickly becoming what I refer to as outflow dominant, which actually reduces the risk that they will remain on the ground. So that's actually good news. But in the short term, yeah, you and I were talking about this cell before we even went on. Said this is one we're going to need to watch. And part of the reason why I thought it was so noteworthy was because it's so detached from the rest of the storms that have been firing all day, and it's firing in an area that is it's pretty untouched. And when I say it's
Right.
pretty untouched, it hasn't been worked over with showers and thunderstorms all day like you have, say, closer to Meridian, and certainly once you get into Alabama.
Correct. And what this is going to be approaching here, this is, let me turn on my locations. And a lot of this is rural areas. This is going to be traveling. Montrose, Mississippi is what we're looking at here. And this is going to be
Mm-hmm.
coming up Highway 15 toward Newton, Mississippi here in the next little bit. I'm showing here that this is a 1 mile wide shear winds of about 58 miles an hour. This is going to be coming into there, which would affect Hickory. And then where I'm located here in Lauderdale County in Mississippi near Meridian, it's going to make its way there. It's not a huge storm. It's nothing like what they've got in the edge of Alabama. But for our area, this is the first taste of what is coming. And as you well know, anything can happen. This could drop down and hit the ground any moment.
Yeah, it could, and especially because the environment is so primed. Any storm cell that gets out ahead of the main line, which you see it making its way into western portions of Mississippi, anything that gets out in front of that, it can really start to utilize the atmosphere in a way. Could become a dominant cell. They were warning the National Weather Service and us meteorologists watching this of the possibility of long track tornadoes. That's how you
Right.
would end up with a long track tornado. But it would take a storm like this one. It looks small right now. It's not as threatening looking. But if it takes root and it
Correct.
takes control of the fuel that's available, then look out, you're in trouble. And by the way, I'm showing some really impressive straight line winds that are coming out of central or western, now into central Mississippi. This is going to hit Jackson hard. Jackson, again, a major straight line wind threat appears to be developing. I worked out technically out of the Jackson market for about a year, but I was doing syndicated weather where I was actually providing weather updates for other parts of the United States as I was talking to you about. But live
Right.
right there in Jackson. Got to cover a little bit of Jackson weather while I was there. But you guys should see that behind me. That is storm relative. I should say it's behind Scotty. Hold on. Let me change source because I'm looking at it and you're not. Yeah, Jackson's going to get a big blow here. This is that's screaming out of the west. Look at those colors. Uh,
So
that's a lot of wind. Let me see if I can get some measurement here. This is we're looking at large scale 50 mile per hour. So and that's with storm relative velocity. Very very high confident that is going to reach the ground at 50 knot. I should say. I think I said 50 mile per hour. So that's going to put it right there at severe threshold, if not more. So they've got that warning up for a very large area.
that is. And if you are in the Jackson area listening, y'all need to pay attention to that. What is your timeline that you see on that?
Well, this appears to be accelerating. So this storm is moving, and it's going to pick up steam. Again, it's going to tap into that convective available potential energy. Right now, it shows that it's moving northeast at 55. I think it may be accelerating. So it's moving at least 55 miles per hour. So the distance away from Jackson, well, that's I'm trying to remember. Is it Rankin County that Jackson is in?
Yeah, Rankin Hines County in that area there.
Okay, so I mean that looks like it's on the doorstep. That's going to be in Jackson in the next 15, 20 minutes.
So we do have a weather event coming. I think it's going to be a busy evening for us here in the state of Mississippi, and I know you've been busy with this as well through most of the day.
Yeah, been watching it with you, my friend. But you're in it, so that's different. Than, I get to be the observer from afar.
Right. Well, I'm going to jump off and jump on
Yeah.
this tornado warning that we have here, and let's you and I touch back with each other here in the next little bit after this passes and go back over what we've got going on.
That sounds pretty good to me. Scotty Ray, thanks for joining us again, and we'll be in touch, buddy. Time to batten down the hatches, though.
All right, brother. You be careful, and we'll be back in touch.
Okay, sounds good. That's Scotty Ray from Scotty Ray's Weather. Find him on Facebook. Find him on YouTube. He's right there in the middle of it all. We'll continue to monitor the situation for the South. I wanted to see who's on here real quick, and as we continue to cover radar together, and I'll take a larger picture up here in New York. Things are pretty quiet, which is the way we like it. But I feel for my friends to the South right now. Many of you guys may be white knuckling it tonight, and unfortunately, this is going to go deep into the night. So I want to continue to monitor. Got just a small crowd on here right now. Cheryl Evans, Robin Kuhlman, Jim Perry. I've got Hey Janky on here. Where has the most likelihood of a tornado tonight? That tornado risk is going to remain quite high, central Alabama, but now it's back building into Mississippi. And then I think it's going to rip along a squall line that will develop. That squall line, you're seeing the beginnings of it, that which is occurring in Jackson, Mississippi right now. And from that point, once we see a solidified squall line, the tornado threat will actually go down. Wind threat will go up, but little spin-up tornadoes, the likelihood of that continue to occur will remain pretty high. So, just so you guys know what we're watching. Anyway, I meant to do a sound check earlier. How's the sound? I'll go back and review the show afterwards. Unfortunately, being a small-time podcast, you don't have a lot of resources to do all the checking, so you do have to rely on your friends. So let me know how we're doing. Let's see. Yeah, if you haven't already liked or subscribed to the page, please do that. Thumbs up, always appreciated. Also, you can find us on our other platforms as well. Many of you on YouTube, maybe you got the link through Twitter. You can also find us on Facebook. I've got one primary channel under my name, Jeremy Capel with a K. And then I'm also WxLIVE Media, so thank you very much for that. Okay, getting back on out there. Again, you can see all the warnings in this vantage point here. So many of them are concentrated across portions of Alabama. That's really associated with the warm front, but look at the surge and activity that we're seeing moving into southwestern Mississippi. I wanted to track that storm right on into Jackson. So there's Jackson. That storm is on top of you. I'm going to see if I can't pull in some level 2 data over here, and we can put a quick track on it for you as well. So let's move on out of Jackson. That's Jackson, Mississippi, JAN, I believe. So give me a couple moments. I'll pull that up. Let's show the site. There it is. Not DGX. It's out of, is it Brandon? Brandon, I believe. Name of the suburb of Jackson, Mississippi is what it is. And that's pulling in here now. There's the actual line. It's got an ETA in Jackson of about 10 minutes from now. Waiting for the data to come in though. Okay, should be coming in. You can see the tornado warning cell further east as well. That's what you're looking at in the red area there, between Taylorsville and Bay Springs, out towards Raleigh. Okay, radar, where are you at? All right, we'll come back over to this. There's the bigger picture. Again, Jackson getting it almost now. We'll come back over to the other radar source to take that. There we go. And meanwhile, let me get caught up with our friends over at the National Weather Service, see what they're saying. All this just exploding through western Mississippi. I'm happy to see that we don't have just a one dominant supercell out ahead of it yet. Let's hope that continues to be the case. The one tornado warned cell, it's here. And it's got rotation, but again, it's not a dominant looking storm at this point, which is good. And then we continue to monitor the storms that are spinning across portions of Alabama. But Jackson, that wind gust should be coming. I mean, it should be on you. So this is going to happen real fast. Jackson to Ridgeland. You'll see it coming in now. Again, maybe 5 minutes from downtown, maybe. It seems to be accelerating a little bit. All right, I've got, is it Lyra? Lyra on here. Sounds good. Thank you. Thank you very much. And hello from Missouri, Awesome Possum. Awesome Opossum. Thanks for being on. And if you haven't given me a thumbs up yet, please consider doing so. You don't have to, though, if you don't want to. Latest information coming in from the National Weather Service here. Talking about that severe thunderstorm warning for Rankin and Hinds County, Madison County, Yazoo, Mississippi. So that would be Jackson. And then let's see if we can't bring up Birmingham chat as well. Okay, so let's see, lights coming in from Birmingham. Tornado warning, radar indicated for Blount, Alabama. It goes until 6 p.m. Central Time. And then getting some storm reports as well. Multiple trees down along Highway 69. That's Marengo County, Alabama. Trees down in the Mount Olive area as well. So that was round one. This is round two. Again, a severe squall of thunderstorms. It looks like serious wind making its way into Jackson, Mississippi right now. And they're close to the apex of this bow segment, which typically means that it's going to be more destructive. So I'm sorry to see that. But at least we're not talking about a killer supercell tornado, which it could have turned out to be. This is going to be the beginning of what's going to be a nasty, nasty squall line that's going to affect much of the region. I'll take you back over to our other radar source. There you go. So Jackson, that wind is entering your area now. Take a look at the whole picture here. Again, that moderate risk. Make that high risk of severe weather. I'm going to turn off the individual warnings. We'll put back on the SPC risks. There's that high risk, it continues. That whole area is just going to go. And again, when I say go, I mean, these are just thunderstorms. They're just going to blow up so fast that you're going to see a squall line with embedded supercells. It's going to rip so fast from Jackson through Meridian. That's Scotty Ray again over there in Meridian, Mississippi. It's going to come at them so fast, and it's going to get to Birmingham before you know it. Birmingham's had a ton of rain today, and they're not done. I would be prepared for a lot of flooding, especially these areas that have been getting hit all day today. Parts of central Alabama, northern Alabama, Birmingham. I think you're going to see a ton of flooding rains out of this deal. And then if we end up with a long track tornado, it's going to come across the southern part of this, I think. It's going to be south of Interstate 20. That's my bet. So if there is going to be a long track tornado, it's going to be south. And it'll come of one of two primary areas. One would be this area again approaching Montgomery. That's kind of the tail end Charlie. It's kind of a warm front feature lifting, or it's going to come. It's going to embed itself maybe inside this squall. But it looks like the squall is becoming dominant Any cells that go up out ahead of it's going to be gobbled up by this thing. Which is better than long track tornadoes. Let's hope it doesn't occur. We'll watch. Okay, it's about 6:35. Appreciate those that are on here for stopping by. And again, thumbs up. Share the program as always. It's appreciated. We'll continue to monitor. And then we'll go back over to level 2 analyst radar showing that stuff coming in from Mississippi, man. It's coming so fast. I think that out of Jackson. Jackson really getting hit right now with the wind. Okay, new information coming in from the Weather Service. I'll check that out while you're taking a look at the latest radar imagery right now. Jackson, Mississippi. Squall line blasting through. So, Scotty Ray's out here in Meridian, and you got these cells out in front. The one's got the tornado warning with it. That's this one here. Signatures, okay. It's kind of lackluster. I think that squall line's going to gobble all this up. Okay, and then further to the east, I'm going to take a look out of Montgomery here in a moment. Meanwhile, up in New York, weather's beautiful. Absolutely gorgeous outside. Going to end up with a nice looking sunset. Still got just a little bit of ice in the bay. Let's see what the weather service is saying. Weather service out of Birmingham, continuing tornado warning for Chilton, Alabama. That goes until 6 p.m. Severe storm moving at about 35. Okay, out of Jackson, half-inch sized hail being reported. That's Giesland Corner. Airport weather warning has been issued for the airport in Jackson. I imagine that they're not allowing anybody to do anything right now in Jackson. There's a good reason for that. Alright, so taking a look at radar this time out of Birmingham. This is Montgomery, Alabama, where we've had confirmed tornadoes being reported. Got multiple warnings that are in effect to the south of Birmingham. These cells, they're active, but it's I don't see anything overwhelming here. Lots of rain, lots of thunderstorms. New information coming in from the National Weather Service right now. There's a look at that line again as it continues into the high-risk area. But the whole high-risk area is just blowing up. That's actually not a bad thing. When you got thunderstorms that are going up everywhere, then the energy that's available in the atmosphere becomes more evenly distributed, as opposed to being focused on only one or two storms. That's actually a good thing. It'll reduce the likelihood of just any one of these cells becoming like a dominant supercell, which is exactly the last thing that you want to occur. So Meridian again to Jackson, that whole area is going up right now. I'm going to check in with our friends over at the Storm Prediction Center, see if they've got anything new. Weather Service says a significant tornado outbreak is expected with numerous strong and a few long-track, potentially violent tornadoes. The initial round will continue across Alabama this afternoon. A separate swath should emanate from far northeast of Louisiana this afternoon and spread east across Mississippi and Alabama into this evening. We're watching that happening right now. I would be remiss if I didn't show you what was coming down the pipe, though, as we head on into the day tomorrow. So this is what's occurring now. Let's take you guys on into day 2. And day 2, they continue with a moderate risk of severe weather. Timing looks suspect for parts of the Carolinas, though. Charlotte to Jacksonville, and then Jacksonville to Savannah. Augusta's in there as well, so that's tomorrow's problem. In the meantime, back here on the cold side of the storm, we've got some pretty good snows that are flying. There were blizzard warnings in effect earlier today across portions of the Texas Panhandle. Now you're seeing rain and snow, portions of western Oklahoma, south central Kansas, where you're seeing rain, snow, and everything in between. Let's take a look at some temperatures here. Which, you know, true spring storm. It's March 17th. Hey, it's St. Patty's Day, right? Bring on the warmth, right? But not so fast. It's 80 in New Orleans. That works, right? It's 72 Tuscaloosa. It's 75 in Jackson. It was before the squall hit. You make your way back across the plains, you have temperatures in the mid-30s. It's 36 degrees in Wichita right now with a cold rain, mixing with snow just to your west. Big storm. So there's a full look at the picture. Again, tomorrow's headache. So everything shifts to the east tomorrow. This is where it's at right now. All right, 50-mile-per-hour winds reported in Yazoo City. There are expiring thunderstorms, southwestern portions of the state of Mississippi right now. Bolivar. So, 50 miles per hour, that's doable. That's doable. That's not terrible. We've got a radar indicated tornado coming out of Birmingham. That is for Chilton, Coosa, Shelby, and Talladega. All right, my friends. Well, thank you all so much for staying tuned. I'm going to monitor this just a little bit longer, but I think we'll go ahead and take a break. I did want to share with you some future cast images before we do that, though. Give you guys an idea of what to expect here as we head on into this evening. So let's go on over to Futurecast, see what the models are showing you. And here you go. All right, so that's the high-res NAM from 18Z. See, everything becomes a solid line overnight, and it'll sweep to the east very quickly. All right, let's take a closer up look. This is the last hour's run of the HRRR. So you've got two areas of thunderstorms, and then kind of merges into a line. I think it's going to merge into a line quicker than what's being shown here. But with that being said, this is overnight tonight. That tornado threat could continue well into the overnight period tonight for southern, eastern Mississippi, much of Alabama, and into Georgia by morning. It's going to be a long night. I'd like to take a look at the more recent run of that same model. It's the HRRR. It's a high resolution rapid refresh model. Okay, let's go to the deep south, and what is it looking like? All right, I'll let you guys see what I'm looking at. Okay, so this is going to be focused across the same area. Walk you right through this. Okay, so right now we are looking at, so the start time is 22Z. So that's 6 p.m. start time. At 6 p.m. Eastern. So this is actually going to be 6 p.m. Central Time here. And then everything just kind of moving steadily to the east. So this is 7 p.m. 8. This is 9 p.m. This is midnight. And everything just cruises to the east. But there's a lot of energy available. It'll continue to eat up that energy in the form of these thunderstorms. And if we're lucky, this goes more linear. And by linear, I mean more of a squall line type of a scenario. So hopefully that's what we're looking at. With that being said, it is about 6:45. Going to go ahead and bring this one down for a close. Appreciate you guys being on here. And we'll continue to monitor the situation. You guys stay tuned. We'll talk to you soon.